On Tech News Today, European wireless carriers might try to crush Google by blocking all ads. Plus, Belgium says Facebook has to obey Belgian law. Facebook says they only have to listen to the Irish. And watch out for Google's crazy new car. They hit America's roads this summer. It's all coming up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Friday, May 15th, 2015. This episode is brought to you by Prosper. Prosper is a peer-to-peer lending marketplace that connects people who are looking to borrow money with those who have money to lend. Visit prosper.com/twit and get a $50 Visa gift card when you get a loan. And by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to 100-plus job sites, including social networks, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter with a free 4-day trial now at ZipRecruiter.com/TNT. Tech News Today is the show where we talk about the tech news with the journalists who report it. Welcome to the show. My name is Mike Elgan. Christina Warren is off today. She's off in Washington, D.C., interviewing some very important people in the Obama administration. I look forward to those interviews. But for now, we will have to go without her. Our top story today is that European mobile carriers may try to block advertising on smartphones, according to an exclusive in the Financial Times newspaper. Carriers have reportedly installed ad blocking software from a company called Shine, that's an Israeli company, in their data centers. The software would block ads on websites, but not social networks. That's really bad news for Google, which makes nearly all of its revenue from online ads, but it has the only ad-free social network. It's clearly aimed directly at Google. The plan may offer ad blocking as an opt-in service, or they may simply decide to implement it automatically. Although this story sounds really scary, I think the reality is that because this would be a net neutrality issue, the European regulators are unlikely to approve it. Although there is a chance it could happen. We'll have to wait and see. But it appears to me that the carriers are really bugged by the fact that they're scraping by with razor-thin margins while Google is making a ton of money on online advertising through the very phones that they service with their wireless carrier service. Sometimes you need to borrow money, and what you don't want to do is go to the bank. That's the old and busted way. The new hotness is Prosper. You can borrow up to $35,000 in as few as 5 days. You can pay off your credit cards, fix up your house. You can even start or boost your existing business. And here's a great idea. If you want to add something to your house or business that's going to be good for the environment, any sort of environmentally friendly project, you can get what they call a green loan. Now, the reason that that's especially powerful is you may want to do that anyway, but on Prosper, they match up investors who are interested in your project with you. So there are going to be investors who want to invest in green projects, and if you do a green loan, you can get that financed through Prosper, and it's a fantastic way to do that, and it's, of course, obviously great for the environment. You know, people keep racking up more debt on their credit cards. It's a terrible idea. Pay off your debt on credit cards. With a Prosper loan, it's a much better way to go. Prosper has funded more than $2 billion in loans. Now, and for a limited time, Prosper is offering Twit viewers and listeners a $50 Visa gift card with your low-interest loan. You get up to a $35,000 loan in your account in as few as 5 days, plus a $50 Visa gift card. Just go to prosper.com/twit for this special offer just for Twit fans. Well, our next story today is about Reddit and harassment. Reddit announced new harassment policies yesterday. The new policies represent a huge change for Reddit, which traditionally has been a free speech zone where just about anything goes. The changes were spearheaded by the current Reddit CEO, Ellen Pao, who is best known as the woman who sued her former employer, the venture capital firm Kleiner Perkins, Caulfield and Byers, for, what else? Harassment, sexual harassment, and other things, actually. Abby Johnston is a political reporter who writes for several publications, and she wrote about Reddit for Bustle. Well, welcome to you, Abby.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. We're happy you're here. Now, how does this new policy work? What has changed exactly?
Well, mainly they didn't have any kind of anti-harassment policy, and now they do. So that's a big change. But it's, Reddit established itself as kind of a very laissez-faire administration. There hasn't been a whole lot of intervention as to what users post historically on the site. So that really hasn't changed too much, other than they've put a system in place where if someone feels that like it's not a safe platform for them to express certain ideas or participate, or if someone is being threatened physically, there's a system in place to report it now.
Now, what is that system exactly? How does it work? If I see somebody harassing me on Reddit, what do I do, and what will they do?
So they basically provided an email that you can submit to, so it centralized it. Like until then, before they rolled out this policy, it was up to individual moderators of subreddits to kind of monitor harassment, and that kind of became a big job. So now it's going to the higher ups directly, and they weren't very specific about who's going to be handling that or what they'll do from there. So it's very like out in the open. It's very loose with exactly what's going to happen. So we'll just have to see.
It's really kind of confusing to me that they are claiming to be going after harassment when in fact there are existing and sitting and longstanding subreddits that are just on their face extremely offensive and by their very nature are harassing of certain people. For example, there is a rabidly racist subreddit called Coontown. There's a rabidly anti-Semitic one called Gas the Kikes. These have been there for a long time, and they're going to continue to be there. How can Reddit justify cracking down on harassment when, in fact, these racist and sexist and anti-Semitic subreddits exist? Just their very existence is a form of harassment.
Sure, and I think the challenge with Reddit is trying to balance, their users like free expression of thought, but also creating an environment where everyone can have free expression of thought. That's really the issue. And because people don't feel as if they can speak up because their ideas are going to be harassed as a direct result of speaking up. So, I mean, I think that the fact that they're taking steps at all is a positive thing. I think it's going to be a long road. You mentioned some of the really horrible subreddits, and then also there's things like the Red Pill, which is extremely misogynistic, that I read when I feel like being a glutton for punishment, I guess. But, I think that they're going to have to do some real work, but it does help that people like Ellen Power at the helm and kind of like heading this up, because I think she's really coming out as someone who is standing up for women in online spaces and in tech in general.
Now, there's been a lot of chatter about why they did this. Why did Reddit used to be a free speech zone, anything goes in the past, but now they're changing? The conventional wisdom it has emerged is that the world has changed. Now we have revenge porn and all these other things, but I kind of, that doesn't sound right to me. I think what's really happened is that lots of sites used to be free speech zones, and the trolls and the haters and the racists and the sexists and everybody else used to be more evenly distributed. But as each site cracks down, Twitter's recently been cracking down. Google Plus has always cracked down really well. Facebook has gotten better at it. YouTube trolling has been damped down to some extent. And so when those things happen, the existing trolls and haters have to go somewhere, and they all end up in the few remaining places where they can congregate. And of course, Reddit has become one of those places. If Reddit is effective, where else do you think the haters and racists and sexists can go?
Oh my gosh. 4chan maybe? I don't know. Yeah,
Great answer.
I think at this point it's, I don't look at it as a free speech, like that they're trying to squash free speech. I just think that it's kind of leveling the playing field for everyone to feel comfortable and safe and not have to worry about being personally threatened for expressing ideas. And I think that's what companies like Reddit are trying to do. And I think it's a very positive thing.
Yeah, and I think that Twitter is trying to balance that whole thing too. And essentially where it lands is it ends up being mostly about safety, not only with threats and so on, but also when people feel or don't feel safe. Twitter, of course, for example, allows all kinds of speech that's very, ranging from politically incorrect to downright offensive. Offensiveness is allowed. Harassment is not. That's sometimes a fine line, which, of course, their moderators will have to deal with. So before I let you go, can you talk a little bit about Bustle? I know you write for multiple publications, but you wrote this for Bustle. Can you talk a little bit? It's not on the normal technology content circuit. Can you talk a little bit about what Bustle is and the kind of things you write for Bustle?
Oh, sure, absolutely. So Bustle is a women's interest site. I cover a range of things for them. We do cover a lot of tech stuff just in a news context. But generally I write about politics. But, we cover fashion, like lifestyle, entertainment. There's so much that the site has, and there's a lot of content, really great content that goes up every single day. So everyone should check it out.
All right. Well, Abby Johnston is at arjohnston.com. That's Johnston. I should say that very clearly, arjohnston.com. And you can also find her on Bustle and elsewhere, and also on Twitter at ajohnston12. Thank you so much for joining us today, Abby.
Thanks for having me.
All right, take care. We've got some more news for you in just a sec, but first, let's talk about money. Well, Belgium has joined the European chorus of criticism about Facebook's privacy policies. The country's privacy watchdog said Facebook treats user privacies with contempt and contemptuousness, and that Facebook has failed to cooperate with regulators. Facebook claims, and I love this, that it only has to obey Irish law because that's where Facebook's European headquarters are. Interestingly, Belgium just wants some very basic privacy protections. All they're asking Facebook to do is get permission before they do stuff with people's data. And Facebook is basically saying, talk to the Irish. We only answer to Ireland. And the truth is, I think that what Facebook is trying to do is force Europe to end the crazy practice of having 29 different sets of privacy rules. That's 28 countries in the European Union, plus the EU has its own set of rules. And Facebook is trying to pressure, I think, the European Union into uniting their rules into one set so that everybody in Europe has one set of rules, and so that Facebook doesn't have to go nuts trying to tweak and change what Facebook is in all these different countries in Europe. So that's my guess of what they're up to. I don't think they are really sincere when they say that we only have to obey Irish law. Well, Google plans to roll out its own self-driving car on public roads this summer. You may have seen it on previous episodes. It looks like an egg with wheels or something. It looks like those plastic cars that toddlers have, basically, but this is a real car. And in the past, the company has tested retrofitted standard cars like Prii and Lexi. Google has built 25 of these cars, which can't go faster than 25 miles an hour. And when the new cars hit the road, Google also plans a new website to get public input about their tests. They'll also use the site to report on the ongoing project. And that site reminds me, as a glass hole, that reminds me of the Google Glass website they put up, where they got, essentially built this little social network and feedback system where the people involved in the project were always, answering questions and, interacting with the users and so on. In this case, it's not for users. The public will not be able to drive these cars yet or ride in these cars yet. The other interesting thing about this is Google originally designed these, and they are intended to not have any controls inside. They're intended to not have steering wheels and brakes or any of that stuff. But of course, those controls are required by California law, and in every state they're required. Cars have to have steering wheels. Makes sense. But eventually, Google is hoping that the cars will become so reliable that they will no longer need steering wheels at all in the car, or brakes, or gas pedals, or anything. Just completely self-driving. Well, Amazon's $199 Echo virtual assistant appliance got an update yesterday. Now Prime members can just talk, in order to order products from Amazon. If you've ordered a specific product from Amazon in the past, just talking will place the order. So it'll look up what you ordered before and send you another one. Paper towels, whatever, you name it. If you try to order something new that you've never ordered from Amazon before, you'll get alternatives along with prices, and you'll get the option to buy or not buy. It takes a little bit longer, but you can still do it entirely by voice. Well, we got some follow-ups for you. We told you yesterday that a hedge fund called Standard General bought the Radio Shack trademark. Now Apple has filed a motion in court to block the sale of personal data about Radio Shack customers who bought iPhones and other Apple products at Radio Shack. Apple says that selling this data would violate the contract that Apple had with Radio Shack, and I hope that this company doesn't sell any of the data, but it's good at least that Apple is taking, some protective measures about forcing this company to honor the contract that Radio Shack had about user data. Well, we told you yesterday about a report on Fortune that says Apple is running into problems with its HomeKit. The article said that it had been delayed from an expected launch next month to later in the year, possibly August or September. But Apple responded to that story yesterday by saying it isn't true. They said HomeKit has been available for months, they have dozens of partners, and that HomeKit-compatible accessories will go on sale next month. That is pretty definitive, and it sounds like that report was false. Well, in product obituary news, Samsung is killing its Samsung Wallet service and replacing it with Samsung Pay, according to an exclusive on the Sam Mobile blog. Samsung Wallet will be discontinued starting June 30th, and this makes a lot of sense. They're moving on over to the new system, and this is there's kind of a pandemic in this. All the early companies like Google that had something called Wallet are now moving to new things. Well, in insecurity news, a company called MSpy, which makes apps for spying on people, has been hacked, according to the blog Krebs on Security. And it gets worse. The data collected was published on a Tor-accessible website, so this stuff is out there. MSpy is a mobile app software that harvests data like location, calls, text, photos, and browsing history. More than 400,000 users were compromised, according to the report. There is some, karmic justice in all this. People who, there isn't karmic justice, in fact. It's the victims of this software that are going to be exposed, not necessarily the perpetrators. So there's no karmic justice at all in this. This is people who have been spied upon, and now their data is out in the wild. Kind of a bummer. Well, ZipRecruiter is our other sponsor today, and I want to tell you about how great ZipRecruiter is for hiring people. I've hired a lot of people in my career, and let me tell you, the most important thing you will ever do as a professional, as a manager, as a business owner is hire people. If you hire the right people, it will make everything fantastic. If you hire the wrong people, it's a real bummer, and you will later have to fire them. It's not a good thing. ZipRecruiter helps you find the right people by letting you post to 100-plus job sites with a single click. Plus, you can post to social networks like Google+, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. And Twitter is especially great because if you set it up and want this feature, you can automatically post every job post that you have right out to Twitter. The second you post the job, it goes out to Twitter, and then people who are looking for jobs will start to follow your feed and be getting those jobs instantly. You just have to post once, and within 24 hours, your candidates will be rolling in. You can also search more than 5 million resumes with ZipRecruiter's fantastic resume database, and they add thousands of new resumes every single day. You can also use your company logo and your company colors and make your job pages an extension of your business. So it looks, very much like, your company, even though this is a cloud-based service. You can also collaborate as well. They won't charge you extra to bring other people from your team into the hiring process. Just such a great service. I want you to try ZipRecruiter today with a free 4-day trial. That's a free 4-day trial, and get your perfect candidate before they go to somebody else. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/TNT. That's ZipRecruiter.com/TNT. And if you're doing a hire, take advantage of this free offer. You can do it for free and find out how you like it, and I know that you will. Well, in news you can lose, remember when Newsweek destroyed its own reputation by publishing a cover story on masking Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin? It was a great story. It also turned out to be false. They identified the wrong guy. Well, now the New York Times has taken a crack at it. The paper published a long story today claiming that a guy named Nick Szabo just might, be the real Satoshi Nakamoto. We'll see how we do, but I think they did the right thing by not being definitive. The Newsweek story was like, yes, this is the guy. We're certain this is the guy, and it wasn't. In this case, Nathaniel Popper, who is the author of this article, is saying, it looks like it really, really could be this guy, but we're not entirely sure. But we think it probably is, and here's all the evidence. You decide, etc. So it's a really interesting story, and you learn a lot about Bitcoin and the whole cryptocurrency phenomenon by reading it. It's a really top-notch journalism, and I enjoyed reading it myself. Well, our TNT fan of the day, here we go, folks. You're going to love this. Our TNT fan of the day is Mike. Great name, Mike, who posted this video on Twitter. Let's check out this video. Let's go full screen on this thing.
watching TNT.
I think, but the plan, I believe, was for them to actually roll it out at that event.
Look, I think I think at the end of the day, it's better if they roll it out as a.
And that was yesterday's show being played on an Apple Watch. Unbelievable.
Internet of Things is going to be really.
Mike, I love that submission and that video, but I just want to know one thing. How the heck did you do this? Call me, all right? All right, show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup and post it on Google+, Twitter, or Facebook. Use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT so we can find it. And you can subscribe to Tech News Today on the Overcast app or whatever your podcasting app may be. You can choose another way to subscribe at twit.tv/TNT. You can also watch us live every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC at live.twit.tv or in the app or browser plugin of your choice. You can find those selections at twit.tv/apps. If you're ever in the San Francisco Bay Area, come on in and watch us as part of our studio audience. Just send email to tickets@twit.tv before you come in. If you'd like to help us grow our audience, here's how you can do it. Just post a link to twit.tv/TNT on the social media site of your choice. Tag 3 friends along with your recommendation to subscribe. And join the Google Plus community. Just search Google Plus for Tech News Today and you'll find us. You can also follow me on Google Plus at googleplus.com/plus Mike Elgan. And don't miss Tech News Tonight at 4 p.m. Pacific with guest Roberto Baldwin tonight from Engadget. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Tech News Today. This show was produced by Jason Cleanthes and edited by Brian Burnett. My name is Mike Elgan. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you Monday.